To start, you're going to want to gather all the materials you need. You'll need an embroidery hoop, a dark coloured t-shirt, some scissors, a needle and 2 pins, some embroidery thread, some backing fabric, a chalk pencil, and your design. Transferring your design onto a darker coloured t-shirt is more difficult than doing so onto a white t-shirt because it's opaque and you can't trace your design through. So one solution is to use a chalk pencil to transfer onto the darker colour. The way I'm going to do this today is so I'm going to use this little heart here. I'm going to flip it over, and I can still, I don't know if you can on the camera, but in real life I can still see that through. I'm going to use my chalk pencil and I'm just going to trace the heart. And I'm going to keep the word dogs because I love dogs. Although, of course, you can change this. You could write cats, you could write hummus, you could write garlic, whatever you love. And then bring your t-shirt in and find where you want to play. If you want to cut this out to make it easier, that's fine. Find where you're going to embroider your little heart. Lay the paper down carefully, hold it in position with one hand, and then just rub it in. Carefully remove it, and there you go. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Another slightly tricky aspect of embroidering on a dark t-shirt is placing the backing fabric behind it. Usually on a white t-shirt you can see through, you can see where the design is and where you need to place it, but obviously with a darker one you can't. So to give a bit of guidance, I'm just going to pop a pin through, make sure it's just through one layer through my design, so that when I turn my t-shirt inside out, I know where it is. So find my design, lay my backing fabric on top, and then pin it in place. You're going to need to pull that pin out as well, so you can use that. I mean, you might have some spares, but in case you don't. So your backing fabric is in place behind where your embroidery will be. Flip your t-shirt back the right way round. If you find that it's can you see here? If you find that the chalk fades at all, you can just go over it with your pencil again. I'll flatten that out before I do. Before we start embroidering, we're going to need to hoop the t-shirt. So loosen the fastening, pull the inner hoop out, place that inner hoop inside your t-shirt, behind the backing fabric and behind the t-shirt. So you've got hoop, backing fabric, t-shirt. Make sure it's all nice and flat, and that your design will be in the middle of the hoop. Pull out your pins gradually, carefully. There we go. Perfect. And then pop your outer hoop over the top. Make sure, there you go, so loose enough. You want it loose enough to actually go over, tight enough that it's going to pull the fabric taut. Tight, taut, I'm not sure what the right word is in this context. And then pull the hoop down. I'm going to use some white, thread for this one, so it's nice and pops against the dark fabric. If you look closely, you'll notice that there are 6 strands in each piece of thread. We're only going to want to use 2 for this project. To separate them, hold carefully between your thumb and your forefinger and separate the strands individually. So you're going to pull out just one. Pull loosely and hold the rest in place. And then do the same to pull out another one. Oh, sorry. Accidentally hit my camera there. Now we're going to pinch those 2 ends of the 2 pieces of thread together. Pull so you've got one long piece of thread that's made up of just 2 strands. The needle included in this kit has got a lovely big eye. Don't know if you can see that. So you should be able to thread it quite easily, she says. There you go. And then knot one end. So you want this to be a good tight knot because you want to be able to pop this t-shirt in the washing machine. To knot, get the end a couple of inches, just tie one basic knot, and then in the exact same place tie another knot on the same, can you see it's ended up in the exact same position? If you do a few more of them, I'm going to say 4 should do it. So you've got a knot that's quite big. Snip off any excess and we're ready to begin. I've cheated a little bit and used a hair clip there to keep the excess fabric of the t-shirt out of the way of my hoop, but you can do it without, that's fine. I'm going to use back stitch for the whole of this design. Nice, easy, versatile stitch. We're going to come up from underneath the fabric, somewhere along the heart or somewhere along whatever design you've picked, and pull until the knot, you can feel the knot. Go back about 1/2 centimetre and create your first stitch. To create a second stitch, you're going to go up another about 1/2 centimetre, pull all the way, and then go back in the same hole as your first stitch, and you'll have made your second. You can see this is back stitch. You just go back on yourself each time. While I'm over this side, I'm actually going to do this little part of the bow. Then keep going round. As you go along, you'll notice that this working piece of thread gets shorter and shorter, and your flappy bit, for want of a better word, keeps getting caught in your embroidery, all you need to do is pull your needle so that your working thread becomes longer. Keep going, because otherwise, if this piece of thread gets caught in your embroidery, you'll be embroidering with 4 strands and your embroidery line will be a lot thicker. Also a lot harder to sort out knots when they happen if you're embroidering with both sides of the thread. Now you've done your heart. I do quite like that on its own actually. We're going to do the lettering. I don't know if you can see the chalk still. I can still see it in real life. Lettering with backstitch is basically the same. You just use slightly smaller stitches for the more detailed parts. I've got a whole other tutorial on doing lettering if you need extra support with lettering. If you finish, or if you finish with your piece of thread and you want to change colour or it runs out, you're going to need to tie a knot on the reverse. It's going to be a really secure knot again so that you can wash it and it will be fine. To do this, you're going to take your needle, you're going to slip it underneath a stitch near to where you finished. You're going to take your working thread, so that's the piece that's coming out of your t-shirt. You're going to wrap it around your needle once, twice, place your thumb over the knot and pull your needle all the way through. Then do exactly the same thing in exactly the same place just to secure it. Pull it nice and tight and cut off the excess. If you've got more of your design to do, or you want to do an extra colour, then do that now. Same technique as before. Otherwise, unhoop your t-shirt, flip it over, and very carefully, be careful not to snip your t-shirt whilst you do this, you're going to cut off the excess backing fabric. Try if you can to keep as much of it intact as you can, because it can be reused. There should be more than enough materials in this kit for you to do another t-shirt or do some embroidery on a pair of jeans. You can use some more of that. Sometimes you might be able to see leftover bits of chalk. If that's the case, just give it a brush or dab it with a bit of water. Also, can you see, I'm not sure if you can see in this camera light, but you might be able to, there we go, hoop burn. So this is where the hoop has been on the fabric and it's burnt the t-shirt or the fabric. It's not permanent. All you need to do, get a little bit of water. I've got a little glass of water next to me here. and dab it with a bit of water. I mean, put it in the washing machine if you want, but it's a lot easier. Just get it wet, and when it's dry, the hoop burn will be gone. Give it an iron if you need to, but I think it's alright to go.